Chateau Chantal. We're talking about ice wine and ice wine products today, and we have quite a lineup here at Chateau Chantal. Our estate ice wine, our red Cabernet Franc ice wine, a Vidal ice wine, and a really unique dessert wine that's made from brandy and ice wine together. This is our estate ice wine. This is a very special wine we've been making for 20 plus years. Our really cold northern climate allows us to make frozen grapes on the vine, which we then press and turn into what we call liquid gold or nectar of the gods. This is a very viscous, sweet dessert wine, but it's incredibly complex. Toasted nuts, creme brulee, honey, caramel. It's multi-layered. Very sweet, so you just take a little for dessert, but a very special, unique product for us here at Chateau Chantal. We also make a red Cabernet Franc here at Chateau Chantal. This is kind of unique and new to us. Over the past few years, we've reserved a portion of our Cabernet Franc vineyard, waited for the grapes to freeze on the vine, harvested them while it's about 0 to 5 degrees outside, press it, and it turns into this very decadent, lush, red ice wine. You get tons of very complex notes from the fruit here, so cranberry, raspberry, a little cherry, and then it's all really blended into this luscious, viscous dessert wine that makes a really special treat. We also here at Chateau Chantal make a Vidal ice wine, and Vidal is one of these grapes that's a hybrid. It's a blend between a Native American grape and a European grape to make a hybrid, which means it's more cold hardy. It's somewhat similar to Riesling in that it's an aromatic white wine. And in this case, we've turned it into an ice wine where the grapes are frozen on the vine. We go out, pick them, bring them into the press, squeeze them while they're still frozen, and out comes this very delicious sweet dessert wine. And in the case of Vidal, you get a lot of apricot and tangerine notes that are multi-layered with a little bit of caramel. It's a wonderful entry into the world of ice wine. Years ago, here at Chateau Chantal, our founding winemaker, Mark Johnson, came up with this unique idea of blending our oak-aged brandy made from grapes with our ice wine. He got the idea actually at a distillery in Germany. So this is a very special product that has a higher alcohol content. We're up here at about 19% alcohol, and it really is a fortified wine. We've got the ice wine, we've got the brandy, we blend them together. So you get the taste of an ice wine, some of the complexity of the caramel, the toasted apple, and then it's blended with this brandy that has kind of a kick to it. So this is a great way to warm up on a cold winter's day with that taste of ice wine.
Ice wine, one of those amazing dessert beverages known to man, originated in Germany in the early 1700s. They have records dating back to the 1800s of the first sale. But today, Canada is credited with the most production of ice wine across the globe. Places like Enniskillen have made ice wine a big selling point for the Ontario region.
So the reason we can make ice wine here in Traverse City is because the winter temperatures actually get cold enough to freeze the grapes on the vines. For the grapes to freeze on the vines, it needs to get at least 17 degrees Fahrenheit, but because of the big hill we have here at the chateau, we tend to go below 15 degrees, and this year we picked between 5 and 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Ice wine is expensive because there's a high risk due to the fact that we could lose a lot in the vineyard and after the 2 months that it takes to freeze. And then the other thing is that when you press it, you lose about half of the volume you normally have because when you're pressing it, the grapes are frozen and so the water stays behind as ice. And when you normally would press, you might get about 20% sugar. With ice wine, we're pushing closer to 35 to 40% sugar. We use nets on the vines for the ice wine grapes because we keep it out there so much longer. It's some of the only fruit that remains, and so what we're trying to do is protect it from the animals that might come along and steal it later in the season. And it's the only thing remaining, that's what they were going to go after. This year we've seen all kinds of animals in the vineyard. Typically the ones that eat the most grapes are starling birds, deer, and raccoons, but we've had different vineyards that have chipmunks in them, and other kinds of critters. In the winters we'll see voles running through there, so there's lots of different things. So the fermentation for ice wine can take quite a bit longer than typical grapes. Partly it's because when the juice has so much extra sugar, that sugar almost acts like a salt and it pulls moisture out of the yeast cells and makes it a more stressful environment for them to ferment in and to thrive in. So it slows it down. That plus the cold temperature can add several weeks on the fermentation. Ice wine is partly, I guess, a labor of love because you have to be willing to go out there and brave those conditions. Typically, it's not the best temperatures when you're timing to be out there below 15 degrees Fahrenheit, and then any wind that comes on those days makes it a little bit less exciting to be out there. So the people that do come out and help us either like it or they just hate themselves just enough to accomplish this task. Yeah, it's worth it. It's something very special and unique that can only be done in a few places in the world where these grapes can also grow at the same time. So it's a special thing that only we can do and a handful of other places.